Hi guys, this week I decided rather than giving you a review on a new pool cleaner, I would give you some tips on how to keep your old pool cleaner running in peak performance. Because the only thing more frustrating than having done all that research to finally get the right pool cleaner for your pool is to watch the performance tank after only just a couple of months. So what I'm going to do here today is show you a couple of common reasons why that might happen and how to fix them easily. All the fixes I'm going to show you here today are very cost effective. Nothing is going to cost that much money, if any. Most of this stuff you already have around your house. And no, the stuff I'm going to go over today doesn't involve removing and replacing a track or a brush because those videos already exist and they're really not the cause of most of the poor performance of your cleaner anyway. So a lot of times you've bought the right pool cleaner and it performs well right out of the gate, but then a couple months later or maybe the next season, you start to notice that performance kind of falling off. Maybe it's not holding walls as well or the water line as well, or maybe it's leaving like a dirt path behind it as it goes across the floor of your pool. And it wasn't how it acted when you first bought it. A lot of people would just chalk that pool cleaner up to probably being ready to replace, and they would go ahead and throw it in the trash and buy a new one. Before you spend hundreds or even thousands to replace that pool cleaner, give me just a couple minutes because I'm going to go over some easy maintenance steps with you that'll completely restore your pool cleaner to its original power. And none of them involve changing tracks or brushes. All the maintenance tips that I'm going to show you today apply to pretty much any cordless robotic pool cleaner. The pool cleaner that I'm going to use in the demonstration today, this Seauto SAT 40, is one that was given to me by a brand, but not to make this video. And they're not paying me or sponsoring the video in any way. I just want to disclose that because it's a legal thing that we're supposed to do because it appears in the video. There's a couple of things that you're going to need to do the procedures that I'm going to do today. One, a pair of needle nose pliers. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver. Maybe, depending on your pool cleaner, you might need a normal screwdriver. You're going to need some electric contact spray, some dielectric grease. You can use filter cleaner for this. In fact, it's preferable, but if you don't have filter cleaner, you might want some Dawn soap. That'll probably be a good substitute. Just make sure that it's one that degreases. It doesn't have to be Dawn, just a dish soap with degreaser. And assuming that you like dental hygiene, you're going to want a used toothbrush, preferably one that you're not going to use any longer. If you don't care about your dental hygiene, just grab a toothbrush. Step one is something you can't even see. It's your filter basket. When you hose this thing out like you regularly do, it usually looks pretty clean. Looks clean, right? And it is. You don't need to do this step every single time that you pull it out of your pool, but once every month or two, we'll keep it running at its best. The problem is that midsummer pool water is thick with body oils, lotions, and pollen. And over a month or two, that grease forms an invisible waterproof layer over the mesh that's on top of these filter baskets. When the water can't pass through as efficiently as it once did, it'll starve your pump motor of water flow. And if the robot can't pump water through it, it loses the downforce it needs to climb your walls. So what's the fix? Well, in this case, I'm using Dawn, but you could use a filter cleaner, and you just want to get yourself a bucket of warm water and put a couple of drops of the Dawn in there if that's what you're using. Take your filter basket out and dunk it in the solution. Of course, you want to move that around a little bit. Probably a good idea to agitate that water a little bit. I didn't do that. Usually I do, but there you go. And just let it soak for a while. And when it's done, just pull it out. I'm gonna have to bring it over here to the shade to show you because my camera's fighting me a little bit, but you just want to take a soft brush and brush each one of these panels, both on the outside and the inside of the filter basket. Now this won't take you more than a few minutes. Normally, if I was doing this for purposes other than showing you, I might take a little bit more time doing it, but you can almost see the scum coming off of this. I don't know if you can see it on film or not. Once you're done, you're going to rinse it off just like you normally would. And if that was your only problem, the wall climbing power should come back instantly. However, there is one more thing that could be affecting your wall climbing power, and we'll go over that next. So these two top propeller fans are what sucks the robot down against the pool floor. And as it vacuums, pet hair and human hair and whatever there is in the pool inevitably gets stuck right past. And, you know, wind themselves tightly around the motor shaft underneath the fan blade there. You might not even really see it until you look closely, but it kind of acts like a tourniquet on the motor, and it drains your battery like twice as fast. So for this, you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver and a pair of needle nose pliers to pull whatever gunk is out of there. But let me show you how to do it. And depending on the model of pool cleaner you may have one of these motors, you may have two, and they may be in different places to access. Luckily for me, they're pretty easy on this model. With any kind of luck, there'll be something in here that I can kind of show you is around this shaft, because it's quite common actually. Sometimes pulling these out can be a bit tricky because there's debris and stuff that gets around, but it'll come out. And what you're looking for is going to be debris up in the shaft here, up under this. And sometimes you even have to take this off. If you do have to take the propeller off, a 7mm is what I'm using here. Then you're just going to take that off. And what we're looking for here is going to be something like this. This wound up dog hair, whatever. Anything that is impeding this fan blade from doing its job. And you just want to repeat the process on any motor that you might have with that shaft. Whatever you do, don't lose this like I almost just did. That would be kind of a pain. And make sure you don't drop it down into the machine when you're putting it back on. Just hold your fan blade while you're putting this back on so that you get it on tight enough. Now the test to know that you're done is, does it spin freely? If it does, then that is good. Whenever I'm doing this, I try to wipe it off with a cloth. I don't have one out here today, so it goes in and out easily. It should pretty freely be able to be pulled out of there. But like I showed you before, you may have an issue where you have to grab the pliers and get it out just because debris has settled in between there. And it'll be different, like I said, on every model. They're all a little bit different, but they're basically the same as far as how they're made. So that is tip number 2, and that will be a huge boost to your power if that was clogged. The next maintenance tip I have for you is something that's going to help you keep your pool cleaner charging like it should. A lot of people notice that after they have their pool cleaners for a while, they don't charge as quickly and they don't hold a charge like they used to. Holding the charge, that can have a lot to do with how hard your motor is working. So the last 2 steps I showed you should help with that. But as far as actually charging, the next step that I show you should help with this. So a lot of pool cleaners have exposed charging pins or ports on them. Many of them have a plug or something that is supposed to keep the elements off of them, but keep in mind, you know, nothing is 100% when it comes to keeping stuff off of this. So even if you rinse your robot with fresh water, it is constantly submerged in chlorine or salt. And when these metal charging pins are exposed to chemical residue and air, they undergo what's called galvanic corrosion, and you'll start to see like a crusty white or green buildup. And if you try to charge it through that crust, the port can overheat, fail, or, you know, even worse, sometimes it can melt the internal housing. So you definitely want to keep those clean, and you can do that with just a little bit of electrical contact cleaner. And then we're just going to take that brush, and if you have a little harder brush to use, you can use it just to make sure that no green or white buildup gets on those. And the test here is just that they shine. So once you have them good and shiny, you're just going to take a little bit of this grease and put just a dab on each one of those posts and then seal it up. This will keep the post good and waterproof, and it's a nice anti-corrosion layer between the metal and whatever is going to get on them, even if it's plugged up. Another fairly common issue that leave dirt in the pool would be these water flaps. These are meant to let water out, but to keep debris in. Sometimes a piece of debris can pin itself in between that. You also have water flaps sometimes on the machine itself. So just look for your water flaps and make sure that there's nothing that is in between the water flap and where it opens and closes. Because if there is, when you pull the machine out of the water, a lot of times that causes dirty water to go back into your pool. And the last thing I'm going to show you today is back in here. That is what's known as a buoyancy block. And that block can become waterlogged or dislodged. It's on both sides in this model. Those buoyancy blocks are going to be in different locations on different pool cleaners, but the thing to know about them is that they are carefully calibrated to the pool cleaner to help with buoyancy, and if they're waterlogged or if they fall off, then it will affect the way the pool cleaner climbs the walls and the stairs and whatnot. So you just want to make sure to inspect them, make sure they're not waterlogged and they haven't come loose. If they are, just take them out and replace them. You can contact the manufacturer and they will send you more. Most of the time, that's a pretty easy fix, and a lot of pool cleaners come with extras so that if they do come off, you have some on hand to just go ahead and put right back in their place. The one thing I would say is they are more accessible in some pool cleaners than others, so depending on the pool cleaner that you have, you may have to take the chassis off the pool cleaner to get to and inspect those, but if everything else I showed you doesn't work to get the pool cleaner back to full performance and it's still not holding the wall like you think it should or the water line, that would be something to check, but I would check it last if I couldn't get to them real easily. Anyway, I hope this video helped you out. A little preventative maintenance goes a long way with these cordless robotic pool cleaners. And if you want to keep them running at peak performance for more than one season, I'd highly recommend doing these things on an occasional basis. If you do want to see how to replace a track, I've got a section in a video that I just did. It's in the chapters. It's a pretty long video because it's about a pool cleaner that I really didn't like. It's kind of a review about what not to buy. Anyway, the video itself will be in one of these corners, and in that video description there are chapters. One of those chapters is definitely going to show you in detail how to replace a track if you need to know that. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one, and remember, belly flops build character.